Soft choir sounds reverberated off the church's old stone walls. Prince William, his wife, and their children sat peacefully in the aisles. When there were many troubles at home, the family sought serenity. The air was dense and eager, as if the tiny gathering could feel something extraordinary about to happen. From behind the chapel, a feeble woman emerged. People noticed her as she moved forward. She was strong inside despite her weak physically, drawing attention. What's next? Surprises everyone. Catherine carried her load silently for months. Some thought she was graceful, but her friends knew the reality behind her gorgeous smile. She had an undiagnosed, untreatable health issue behind closed doors. She was exhausted and ill. It made simple tasks look like massive challenges. People avoided her when she was exhausted, but Prince William and their kids saw and experienced everything with her. William became increasingly concerned as she deteriorated. Though he admired her strength, he saw how hard it was. Long evenings by her bedside exhausted him. Everyone sensed the difference, even the kids. A family used to being strong and stable was scared to be hurt. Church safety was sensed. William took his family there early in the morning in hopes of finding peace and quiet. Though spiritual, Catherine has struggled to find optimism lately. Her strength and capacity to pray and feel better declined. This day had a hidden purpose for the church. They wanted something comforting. Going to weekly services offered some solace, but the unspoken truth loomed large. Their faith was tested like never before. Catherine's thoughts were interrupted as the feeble woman moved to the front of the church. Catherine tilted her head as she spoke. This moment changed the family's lives without their knowledge. Kate's issues were just one part of the story. Churchgoers waited for a dramatic reveal with much tension. She reached the front of the church and faced the congregation. Despite looking fragile, her voice was forceful. Everyone was fascinated by its strength. She introduced herself as Margaret and began her story. My life expectancy was fewer than 6 months. They can't operate on stage 4 cancer. They advised me to get along with everyone. There was noise from all seats. First, I gave up and felt hopeless. I arrived alone one night, wanting help. I requested power from God to be at peace, not to improve. Without trying to, William and Catherine leaned forward. Catherine tightened her hold on William's. She recognized her concerns in the story. Every syllable seemed to move her. She then discussed the turning point. I felt something change, but no voice or sign appeared. I felt like serenity had enveloped my fear. Her face softened. Her tranquility contrasted with her weakness. Before continuing, she pondered her remarks. I came here daily for a few weeks after that. My body changed gradually. The agony eased. My vitality returned. The scan results followed. No growth, no rationale. Just gone. Very few screams or whispers of shock were heard from the gathering. Margaret maintained calm throughout. She looked around the room for someone who needed what she had to say. The moment excited Prince William and his family. Young man glanced at mother. Charlotte sought Catherine's hand. For William, who rarely expressed emotion, this made his heart race with curiosity and doubt. Catherine struggled to comprehend the conversation. She remained religious despite her health issues. Margaret's tale was confusing. Something about the woman seemed undeniable. An aura of calm and strength that trumped her words. After her narrative, Margaret added, I am here today to give thanks. God's kindness is my only explanation. However, if he can do this for me, he can surely help anyone in need. King Charles sat in a pew farther from Prince William and his family. He appeared calm and detached. His hands were loosely on his knees as he stood erect. The others were interested in Margaret's story, but Charles was distant. He always did things the same. He used service to organize a life that frequently felt out of his control at difficult times. However, his meticulously crafted front had cracked in recent weeks. His health caused him much hardship. His disease overwhelmed him. It separated him from others. Duty dominated his life, making the throne his priority at all times. He felt caged by his carefully maintained stoicism now that he knew he would die. Charles was intrigued and skeptical when Margaret told him about her miraculous recovery. He couldn't pinpoint why he wanted her remarks, but his reasonable intellect ignored them. He believed miracles aren't for guys like me. Charles struggled physically and spiritually. His silent reverence for religion lasted years. He considered it the monarchy's public duty, although he rarely allowed it to affect his personal life. But suddenly he doubted everything. Margaret's calm may be real. What if he never found it? Charles's thinking remained confused during the service. His relatives appeared in his peripheral vision. William embraced Catherine. She appeared pale yet serene. The youngsters were quiet. Charles wanted to tell his family how far he was. But he didn't say anything because he'd always hidden his flaws. His perspective-changing event was unexpected. The rear of the church was noisy. The silence was broken by a woman's angry voice. The crowd turned as a terrified woman staggered forward. The stone walls heard her cries. Charles saw the bishop rush to her. His calmness radiated relaxation. The woman's cries softened. Minor adjustments were significant. chaos was replaced by peace. Charles felt something unidentified rise in his throat. Tradition, protocol, and history were important to him, but this simple gesture of goodwill surprised him. It was unusual for Charles to see the bishop calm the woman. Charles's thoughts altered when the woman calmed down and sat down. His walls collapsed for the first time in weeks. He might be closer to peace than he believed. Like Margaret and the unhappy woman, he may find solace in perplexity. After that, Charles thought, nobody told him what happened next would make him face his fears in ways he never believed imaginable, an unexpected ending choice. The service continued, but the church had a tense atmosphere. Prince William and his family were affected by the morning's events, and the choir's soothing sounds filled the room. William glanced at Catherine, who was still. She kept looking at the altar. Her usual calmness was lacking. Her weeping wouldn't stop. Despite her health issues, she kept her calm and let her love for people overcome her concerns. However, Margaret's narrative and the bishop's calmness moved her like she hadn't in months. She felt like a door had opened, letting in unwanted light. William touched her softly. Catherine hoped to find serenity after months. It was deeper, longer-lasting calmness than distraction-induced calm. Even kids noticed the shift. George leaned toward his dad. During the service, he watched calmly. He softly questioned, "Will Mom be okay?" William agreed, but his throat tightened. He said she will. He finally believed it after a long time. Something in the air disturbed the family's stillness. Morning remarks and remarkable recovery. The bishop's consistent involvement helped. The family found meaning in religious activities in their own ways. Catherine longed for Margaret and the bishop's serenity. After her struggle, Margaret achieved calm, which Catherine really needed. She worried many nights that her health issues might disrupt her family. She imagined a time without fear as she gazed at her kids and felt William's support. No words could explain William's reaction to Catherine's mood change. He was frightened of losing her and failing to safeguard their family, but he didn't say so. Hope in her eyes informed him they were not alone on this path. They may find serenity like Margaret. Even King Charles, seated apart, seemed odd. His usual quietness had shifted. His shoulders were looser. He stared at the bishop, trying to figure out what was generating the deep quiet. As someone used to being in command, giving up control to something bigger was strange, but it grew increasingly vital. All the family stood up for the concluding worship song. Catherine touched Williams. Her strength was returning slowly but significantly. Kids stayed nearby. They felt their parents changed little. They had no idea what would happen. The morning's events gave them hope and healing, but the news coming next would transform their lives in ways they never dreamed. They would learn that peace was just the beginning of its power. Prince William and Catherine enjoyed the stillness in the church after the service. For the first time, faith seemed like a force that could solve even the toughest situations. William looked at Catherine and remarked, "Maybe there's more to this than we've let ourselves believe." Catherine nodded. She said they needed calm. Her remarks had the impact of someone opening a long-shut door. Even the kids understood the significance of the moment. George took Catherine's hand. "Does this mean we'll come back?" William hesitated before adding, "Yes, I think we will." This decision affected more than just the church. William and Catherine's religion transparency may improve their memories and make it more hopeful and loving. King Charles remained as churchgoers left. He gently rose and approached the altar. The bishop was instructed, "I want to know this peace." Both William and Catherine were shocked. At that moment, the royal family's direction shifted drastically. What they witnessed in the church gave them hope and changed them forever. Can't everyone find peace like Margaret and the strange woman in the church? Comment what you think. Please explain. We're leaving. See you next film.